Hello everyone, good day. I'm going to cover two lessons in this video, lessons 10 and 11, which are the book review and article critic and literature review. Before I present to you the content of these topics, I will show to you first the lesson objectives. At the end of the lesson, you'll be able to determine the purpose of a book review, article critic, and literature review, define the context for a book review or article critic and literature review, and analyze the features of a book review or article critic and literature review. So first, let's discuss what is a book review or article critic. A book review or article critic is a specialist form of academic writing in which a reviewer evaluates the contribution to knowledge of scholarly works such as academic books and journal articles. So a book review and an article critic are both types of written evaluations that provide analysis, evaluation, and feedback on a piece of written work, whether it's a book or an article. However, there have been some key differences in terms of their purpose, structure, and focus. A book review is an assessment of a book's content, style, and overall quality. It typically includes a summary of the book's plot or main arguments, an evaluation of the author's writing style, an analysis of the characters or themes, and a recommendation or opinion on whether the book is worth reading. Book reviews are often subjective and can express the reviewer's personal opinions and reactions to the book. While an article critic, on the other hand, is a critical analysis of an article or scholarly paper. It involves evaluating the article's strengths and weaknesses, assessing the validity of the research or arguments presented, and providing constructive feedback. Article critics often focus on the article's methodology, research design, data analysis, and conclusions. They may also consider the article's contribution to the field of study, its relevance, and its potential limitations. So, a book review or article critic is different from a movie review that you see in newspapers. And an academic book review or article critic, on the other hand, addresses a more specific audience and usually offers a critical response to a published scholarly work. So, a book review or an article critic is written in an academic context, and the target readers are determined specifically. So, let's proceed to the structure of a book review or article critic. First, there should be introduction, which is around 5% of the paper, and it contains the title of the book or the article, writer's name, writer's thesis statement. The second part is the summary, which is around 10% of the paper, and it contains the writer's objective or purpose, methods used, if applicable, major findings or claims. And the third part is the review or critic in no particular order, which is around 75% of the paper. And it includes the appropriateness of methodology to support the arguments, theoretical soundness, soundness of explanation in relation to other available information and experts, sufficiency of explanation, other perspectives in explaining the concepts and ideas, and coherence of ideas. And the last part is conclusion. And this is around 10% of the paper. And it includes overall impression of the work, scholarly value of the reviewed article or book, benefits to the intended audience, and suggestion for future directions. So when writing a book review or article critic, make sure to ask the following. First, what is the topic of the book or article? So we have to determine the topic of the book or the article, which is essential in order to explain the content of the book or the article. Second, what is its purpose? Identify also the objectives of the book or the article. By doing it, you can show if the purpose is being obtained. Next, who are its intended readers? So you have to determine the target readers so that you know what type of language that you need to use when you write the review or the critic. Next, does the writer explicitly state his or his statement? So you have to evaluate the thesis statement of the author so that you will know the main thought or the gist of the book or the article. Next, what theoretical assumptions, such as a scientific logical explanation without evidence, are mentioned in a book or article? Are they explicitly discussed? So you have to identify the theoretical lenses used in the book or article. Analyze if they are the appropriate theories to be used in explaining the findings of the book or the article. What are the contributions of the book or article to the field it is situated in? So research also if the book or an article has significant contributions to the body of knowledge that it investigates. Then what problems and issues are discussed in the book or article? So what are the problems are being dealt with by the book or the article? You have to explore that. Next, what kinds of information, such as observation, surveys, statistics, historical accounts, are presented in the book or article? Are they used to support the arguments or thesis? So, determine also the facts presented in order to support the analysis, evaluation, and interpretation of the author. Next, are there other ways of supporting the arguments or thesis aside from the information used in the book or article? Is the author silent about these alternative ways of explanation? So identify also if there are alternative methods in explaining the phenomena discussed in the book or article for a better understanding of the aspects being discussed in the book or the article. And next, what is your overall reaction to the work? So navigate, what do you think about the book or the article? Do you think it is substantive? Do you think it provides adequate explanation of the topics and problems being covered? And ask other important questions. So let's proceed to the guidelines in writing a book review or article critic. First, read the article or book to be reviewed carefully to get its main concept. We read it to get the arguments being presented, relate the content of the article or book to what you already know about the topic. This will make you more engaged with the article or book. So you can compare and contrast the book or article you are reviewing or criticizing to the previous books and articles that you have read, which are related to the topic that you're going to write a review or critic. Next, focus on discussing how the book treats the topic and not the topic itself. So this means that you have to understand how the book explores the topic and navigate the vital facets of the topic. Next, situate your review. So you have to contextualize your claims or arguments in your review. Examine whether the findings are adequately supported or not. So if there are enough evidence that supports the findings, you have to determine that. Next, analyze the type of analysis the writer used. For example, quantitative, qualitative, case study, and how it supports the arguments and claims. So just some ways on how the writer can improve his reasoning or explanation, and discuss how the same topic explained from other perspectives. So you have to provide other alternatives that you think you can explain the topic for better understanding. Point out other conclusions or interpretations that the writer missed out. So if there are other analysis that the author wasn't able to discuss based on results, they can point that out in your review. Examine the connections between ideas and how they affect the conclusions and findings. So identify if the notions pointed out by the author, if they could contribute to how they frame their conclusion. So next, show your reaction to the writer's ideas and present an explanation, and suggest some alternative methods and processes of reasoning that would result in a more conclusive interpretation. So those are the guidelines that you need to be mindful of when you write a book review or article critic in order to provide quality paper when it comes to writing this type of academic paper. So let's proceed to literature review. So what is a literature review? A literature review is a type of academic writing that provides an overview of a specific topic. A literature review is an account of what has been published by other researchers. It is defined as a systematic, explicit, and reproducible method for identifying, evaluating, and synthesizing the existing body of completed and recorded work produced by researchers, scholars, and practitioners. So, literature is also an advanced form of academic writing. A literature review critically analyzes the relationship among different scholarly works and the current work. So, a literature review is a process of compiling, classifying, and evaluating what other researchers have written on a certain topic. So it can be a partial component of a research undertaking, but it can also stand alone as a self-contained review of writing on a subject. So the review of literature relates your study to a larger body of literature. So it sets the context of the study and explains the significance of your research problem. So let's discuss the functions of a literature review. First, it justifies a research question, method, or theoretical and conceptual framework. So in research writing, your literature review can help you establish your research question, your method, theoretical and conceptual framework. It will give a body of knowledge of the topics you are going to cover in your research. Next, it establishes the relevance of the topic. So it explains why a specific topic is vital to include and discuss in your paper. Number three, provides necessary information to better understand a specific topic or study. So it gives adequate information about the topics you are going to explore in your research investigation. Number four, it shows reviewers' familiarity and mastery of the topic. So literature review illustrates the researcher's knowledge and understanding of the topics being dealt with in the research. Number five, establishes the niche of the study. So it explains the problem of the study that needs to be resolved. Number six, resolves conflict among contradictory studies. So literature review can shed light to the conflicting ideas and research findings related to your study. So let's proceed to the structure of a literature review. First, there's introduction. So in introduction, there's purpose for writing the literature review and the importance of the topic being reviewed, scope of the review, criteria used for selecting the literature, and organizational pattern of the review. So in the introduction, you have to express the rationale of selecting the topic. Why is it relevant to your study? You have to explain why that particular topic is significant to your study. Next is the body. It includes historical background, relevant theories, relationship between and among the studies, and how each study advanced theory, strengths and weaknesses of each paper, and various viewpoints on the topic. So you have to, um, in the body, it provides the body of knowledge about the topic you are dealing with. You have to discuss what are the prominent definitions, findings, notions by experts and scholars of the topic. So you can also include contradicting ideas in order to frame your niche and able to discuss various information about the topic. Next is a conclusion. It includes your statement of the main argument or thesis, main agreements and disagreements in the literature, standalone paper, conclusions, implications, and direction for future studies, if part of a thesis or research paper, linking of the literature review to the research. The next, overall perspective of the topic. So you have to restate the main argument of the written literature of the topic. So provide still the significance of the topic in the study. And let's proceed to the guidelines in writing a literature review. So first, review the documentation style, example APA or MLA or Chicago. In our case, we have to use the APA style or American Psychological Association, which is the recent one, the 7th edition. Next, choose and focus on a topic that you will explain. So include only the literature that are significant in your study. Determine the kind and number of sources you'll be using. So gather written sources as much as possible in order to have a rich literature review. So it's important that you have to enrich your literature review. Survey the available online databases relevant to your topic. So look for legitimate databases to find and gather written literature. For example, Google Scholar. And we also have an institutional database wherein you can access it in order to search for relevant information or related references for your study. Use relevant keywords when searching for scholarly documents or articles. So you should know what are the keywords you have to input in the search bar when you search for literature from databases. Number 6, always include landmark studies or papers, for example, studies which had remarkably changed the field related to your topic. So, for example, if the study is conducted in a particular place, then you have to mention that place. Next, always evaluate the sources for coverage and currency. Include only those articles directly related to your topic. So, always check the recency of the reference and include those related literature that are still acceptable in the current context. And evaluation and analysis of articles. So first, skim the articles and read their abstract. Group the articles and other documents according to their categories. Take the notes, summarize the details using a concept map. Write a synthesis of the references you have read before writing the actual literature review, and create an outline. So these are some of the ways on how to check and evaluate your references and how to start in making your evaluation and analysis of the articles. And for the writing the literature review, first state clearly your thesis or main argument and be guided by it accordingly. So if you say that no studies have been conducted on one aspect of your topic, you have to justify it. So explain why a study is not yet conducted and its possible reasons. And direct the readers to the other related literature reviews that cover items which you didn't intend to cover. So you have to indicate the scope of your review. What are the limitations of your review? The next, never treat a literature review as a series of annotated bibliography. So a literature review is more than an annotated bibliography, wherein annotated bibliography is just a short review of a reference. So literature review is more complex than and has a lot of features you need to provide. And use headings and subheading to classify the parts of your topic. So the usage of headings and subheadings are important in order to properly indicate the sections of the literature review. Use effective transitions to make a review easier to read and understand. So use proper transitional devices and techniques when you proceed to the next section of the review. And the body of the literature review can be organized thematically, methodologically, or chronologically. And use direct quotations sparingly, clarify important definitions. And that's the end of my discussion in this recorded video. Then I hope that you have learned something from this video, and thank you for watching.